All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checkered TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Super Speedway Xfinity Series here tonight at not Talladega Super Speedway, I'm sorry, iRacing Super Speedway. Got to mix those tracks up from time to time somehow. We are here at the almost 3-mile oval, kind of a Dover on steroids, very, very steep banking here. However, with the next gens, these cars don't get up to the crazy speeds that we see in the trucks and the Xfinity cars and so on and so forth. So we'll see drivers probably still about the 190 or so range. So these guys will be a little less out of control as some of the other cars are here tonight. However, as always, 75 laps is the scheduled race distance, 3 attempts potential of a green-white checkered finish, and of course, 1 fast repair available to the drivers if needed. That way they can kind of, if they need that mulligan, they have one ready. But the story tonight, obviously, going to be going for that championship here this evening. Going for the regular season championship this evening. So right now it's Eric Laurie in the lead by 10 points over Jim Brooks. Gabe Butler sitting in third, 13 points out, and then Bud Steele 16 points out. So top 4 are really tight together over these first 7 races. And then a little bit further back, you got Richard Sanchez in 5th, Brandon Briggs 6th position, Kevin Freese, Nick Monfretti tied for 7th. Ryan Decker in 8th, and then Todd Merkel, Kyle Brooks, myself. I won't be in here, unfortunately, tonight, but still actually sitting in the playoffs somehow, tied for the 11th and final spot with Edwin Outlaw, which leaves openings potentially for Tom Dixon and Brad Slagle, who are 13th and 14th, but not too far out, respectively. So we'll have to wait and see if any of these drivers, if there's any changes from drivers maybe missing races or not making races, could open the door for some entries that maybe just need a good result. And so I'm trying to look to see in the timing and scoring, and actually one that stands out to me is Zach Workman in the 18 car. He's 17th in points. However, I think realistically still could make the playoffs. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that 18 car, possibly the 07 of Brian Wang as well. So we'll kind of wait and see what the numbers look like, but that could be very intriguing here to see how the playoffs unfold after tonight's event. So right now qualifying still underway. Looks like we have just about 19-20 cars or so in the grid. So it's a still solid count. Hoping, of course, try to get a few more drivers here this evening. But I'll say we'll be regrouping. I'll say we got 4 more races after tonight. Will be the 4 playoff races, and then from there we will be jumping to a small break before we get right back into things for season 2 of the 2023 season. So stay tuned for info and announcements on that one. And of course, we'll be running the IR 18 cars over on Tuesday nights, not broadcasted, but a great lot of fun with those guys. And then, of course, Thursday night with the Super Speedway Truck Series, also here broadcasted on Green White Checker TV. So hope you all are having a wonderful weekend. Hopefully you enjoyed the races. I'll say we had 3 races back again this weekend, had Formula 1 back as well as IndyCar, and then NASCAR at Las Vegas. So hope you all enjoyed the extra racing. It's good to have all the full racing season back. And so I won't give spoilers, but the IndyCar race is probably the wildest of the bunch this weekend. So it'll be fun to see how that season continues on. All right, looks like qualifying has just completed. So let's go ahead and pull up our starting grid for tonight's event. And talked about bonus points possibly coming into play. Zach Workman going to get pole position, an extra point for that 18 car. That's a big, big opportunity for that number 18 machine. So next to him, you got Derek Buffo in the 67, relatively new to the league, but he's really kind of gone after it really quick right off the bat. Jim Brooks, a good qualifying spot, 3rd. Bud Steele in 4th. And then you got Joshua Hanner, Eric Laurie, 5th and 6th. Josh Lassen there, right behind his closed circuit racing teammate there at 7th. Richard Sanchez there in 8th, behind his teammate of the Bootknockers, Eric Laurie. Dude Conrad at 9th, and another Bootknocker teammate, Gabe Butler there in 10th. Austin Call, David Hanna there in 11th and 12th. And then in 13th, you've got Jimmy Pyland, Edward Outlaw 14th, Brian Wang and Matt Wagner in 15th and 16th, Chris Passini and Brandon Briggs 17th and 18th. And that, I believe, will be the 18 drivers in the field this evening. And yes, so far, Muff, looks like I may be rolling solo here tonight, which say I tried to pull in some extra help, but I say I have a feeling dad life might be getting in the way, but we'll see. Maybe I'll get a late appearance. Someone wants to hop in the booth with me, but either way, I'll be good to go here tonight. You're stuck with me though tonight, as you can see the list of the cars here on the grid getting ready to go for this race tonight. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with these people being good parents and stuff, but yeah, it's an odd situation that I'm definitely not familiar with. But no, but yeah, I'll like I said, big congrats to Chris having the new baby girl recently. So yeah, so we've got some babies coming on board here. Oh, there's Gabe Butler rolling back. Oh, that's an interesting something going on here. We got trouble on the initial start, possibly. Let's go back and take a look. We'll run back here and go full speed on and watch the 88 car, but something a little odd on this one. Not sure if it was him or... Oh, yeah, look at that. Great avoidance, but at 64.30 gets it stopped as well. So, Gabe, I'm sorry, I love you, man, but even the best, I say mistakes can happen, so... that just tells you maybe we'll see if we got a full moon here tonight or what. But yeah, didn't expect to see that from one of the best. But say the other problem now is they got to hustle back up to the field here because you see these guys that got there, but you see Gabe, he's kind of having to full send it down to get caught back up. Then you got David Hanna, Edwin Outlaw, Brandon Briggs. I'll say this is actually kind of burning a little bit of fuel out of these cars having to chase back down, so they can't really save as much on that opening pace lap as maybe they want to. I believe they should be able to still hang on to the field here and should be good for this initial start. But man, that was something there. Not something you normally see. Like I said, even the best will make mistakes though, and that's what we saw there. But up front, green flag is out. We are down and away. And right now, it looks like a pretty dead heat between the 18 and the 67 as we get through the gears. But it looks like Bud Steele's going to get to the back bumper here quickly of that 67, that Buffalo Wild Wings Mustang. See maybe they can push him into lead into turn number 1. But right now, it's going to stay with Zach Workman in that 18. He is going to take that shorter distance to the lead. Looks like bringing Jim Brooks alongside with him in that Ford Mustang as well. Watch out the back of that number 18. You can see there the 51. Going to give him a little bit of a push down the back. He's broken that bubble, but you can see on the outside, Bud Steele giving a great push, though, to that number 67 as well. So right now, dead heat entering turn number 3 is, oh, they're close on the entry there. But like I said, this is where the 18, same thing. He wants max points, so probably wants to lead a lap, and ideally probably lead the most laps, be incident-free. Maybe gets him into the playoffs here, so we'll see if he can get that bonus point here to kick it off, which it looks like should be pretty comfortably able to do. Yeah, give lap number 1 to that 18 Zach Workman, leading lap number 1. Oh, big push by Bud Steele, able to clear the 67. He gets in front in the lead, so move Derek Buffo to the lead in that Buffalo Wild Wings car in front of Zach Workman. And you can see it's kind of spread out a little bit further down the pack. Everybody's trying to find their drafting partners and friends, possibly. You see Eric Laurie, Bud Steele locked on very nicely with one another here. Right behind them is the 8 of Dude Conrad, and then I saw the 88 kind of drop back just a little bit here, Gabe Butler, but I think trying to maybe pick up some of his teammates here. Oh, close call for a second, the 30, but stays in the middle there of David Hanna, so he's going to hold spot right there. But right now, it looks like no real big breakaways. However, unfortunately, I think Edwin Outlaw may have just lost touch of the pack. Yeah, he's definitely lost touch here. Unfortunately, he is going to start to lose even more time to the leaders. But up front, though, looks like it's the 18 and the 67 going after. Oh, they're going to leave this 18 out to dry. Bud Steele going to jump to that third lane, take the lead away from the 18. And just look at the momentum, the change. Like these cars, when you get locked on, it makes a world of difference between them. That's going to give Bud Steele now to try to see if he can take the point here in that 18 machine. Or, I'm sorry, 10 machine. However, right now looks like all the help is sitting with that 67 of Derek Buffo. So going to looks like lead possibly lap number 2. Still behind him is that 51 of Jim Brooks. Looks like he's pretty content with just riding that inside line. However, I'm watching behind him. He's got 2 of the closed circuit cars behind him. That number 2 Dodge. Love the paint scheme of Joshua Hanner. The 09 of Josh Lassen as well. Another part of the closed circuit. A little bit of blink you see from the 51 there. But looks like it's pretty solid still. But yeah, right now let's say these guys just kind of finding where they need to be. So Eric Laurie right on the rear bumper here of Bud Steele. So that definitely in the bubble there, if you will. So let's hop on board with Eric Laurie here and just watch him at action here. You can even hear that car hit the bottom out a little bit as it hit the entry of turn number 3 there. And oh yeah, you see the 51 having connection issues. I think that's why he's jumped up to the middle here. I think he's opting to try to drop a little bit back, try to find a safe spot to sit in, not to affect anybody's race. In doing so, though, that's really cost the inside line a ton of momentum, and that's propelled Eric Laurie now to the point. Again, he's currently our regular season points leader. Ooh, saw a couple cars just flirt with hitting that inside apron there. You see that number 6 of Matt Wagner. It looked like he was pretty close into that one as well. Right behind him, you got one of the other closed circuit cars of Chris Passini. Then right behind them is that 07 of Brian Wang. But up front, though, Eric Laurie now leads the way. And really not a lot of pressure. So you see the good-looking Mario helmet there on Zach's car. So these guys, let's say, it's not just the paint schemes that you can modify and make look good. You can do the helmets and the driver's suits as well. So Zach with a great-looking helmet there. Say Mario going to work here tonight in that second spot. You see just how locked on that 18 is to the 071, and that's going to try to keep these guys from being able to get that big momentum. You see really with that lock on, it's kind of pulled Dude Conrad just a little bit off of them, and that's really what that tandem does with these cars. You can lock on, you can pretty much leave that third car, but in the bigger pack like this at the moment, it's not as big of an issue. We have to mention another driver lost the pack here is that number 510 of Richard Sanchez. He's lost his main pack in that 510 car as well. So right now you go back to David Hanna in the 16th position right now, the last car on the lead lap, or lead pack I should say, but honestly a little bit in danger of falling out of that pack himself here. When you're that last car, you don't want to fall too far behind these guys. You see that number 30 Limitless Laser sponsorship on that Chevrolet. Good looking paint scheme there as well. So well, right now it looks like he's actually just got back up in touch with that pack, and right now it continues to be the inside line kind of leading the way here. However, last time by, fastest car on the track, fastest lap of the race. Right there, 88 of Gabe Butler with help from behind from that 63 of Brandon Briggs. You see also Bud Steele and Jim Brooks have picked up that pack as well, along with that 36 of Jimmy Pyland in that Coca-Cola machine. So we got 2 Coca-Cola cars here tonight, so I'll just try to keep track of the 2 of them. One a Chevy, one a Toyota, so it shouldn't be too bad to differentiate. But we do have a handful of red cars. You can see there the 2, the 6, the 36, the 1, the 07. So we got a lot of red here in the field tonight. But up front, though, it is the green and yellow John Deere machine of Eric Laurie. Continues to lead the way here at iRacing Superspeedway. About to start lap number 8 of scheduled 75 as, they jump up there, leave Brandon Briggs out to dry. Fortunately, that guy's wondering what he did wrong there to get ditched. And that is going to really shake up this group, and this is where they got to get reorganized. Yeah, it's a great call by Brandon. Get right back to the inside line, grab that draft again, because that move really shook up that field there on that second lane and really slowed them up, I feel like. You see now the 1 and the 6 here locked on together. So it's a good push by Matt Wagner here. We'll hop on board with that 6. We'll go on the roof of that car as he pushes that 88 into turn number 3. I'm sorry. Oh, a little nervous there. You saw there, just caught the left rear of the car. Gabe had to settle it back in. Matt got quickly off the throttle to avoid any contact. And that's what happens when you get that push that's just a little bit off-centered. It really upsets that car in front. But great hands and great reaction by both drivers to be able to gather those cars back up and keep going green as, big move by the 2 car. tried to put the block in the 88, but it was too little too late. Gabe's going to just go a little bit higher and blow right on by that number 2 machine. And now he's actually kind of getting pinned a little bit. But however, got a lot of closed circuit cars in a very small amount of space here. Oh, that 2 is having a little bit of troubles there. Gets back to the inside. But yeah, you see there's the 1, the 2, the 09, and the 6 all working together tonight. So they would be a good group to work with. And oh, you see 2 cars that have fallen off the main pack here. We talked about that little bobble that slowed up the pack. That's going to be Jim Brooks and Jimmy Pyland. They have fallen out of the draft about 2 seconds back off of David Hanna. This is where now, this is really tough here. The 36 is going to have to try to break the bubble and really kind of get onto the bumper of the 51. However, when you're 2 cars here, the 51 may have to drag the brake to do so. But it's that risk versus reward because, again, these cars, the tandem is always a little bit scary to do. So we'll have to see if that comes into play or not. But, of course, there's still lots of racing to go here. Lap 10 now, so we've still got 61 to go, 65 left next time around. As Eric Laurie continues to lead and just racking up the points here, see if he can maybe try to clinch that regular season championship. Which, unfortunately, doesn't pay anything extra or bonus points or anything like that. It's just bragging rights, really, for the 071. But he's been having a great season so far. So, I mean, he still want to finish that one out strong. That way, kind of build that momentum going into the 4-race playoff, which, again, is going to cycle through our kind of the bread and butter. Say we'll be going to Daytona, Atlanta, Talladega, and then finishing up here at iRacing Superspeedway. So 4 different tracks, 4 different types of racing, and we'll crown 1 champion. Oh, another one starting to fall off the back there, and that is Brandon Briggs in the 63 car. So slowly but surely, we talked about it, that the way these next gens race, it's very easy to get dropped, and that's dropped another car, this time the 63. So that now leaves us 13 cars in this main draft pack out of the 18 that are currently in the race, and leaders aren't too far away from starting to catch that lap traffic. First, the 12 of Edwin Outlaw, who lost the pack earlier, followed by Richard Sanchez. And I'm looking at the lap times. Leaders are running about 5 seconds a lap quicker than these cars that are running solo. So that's kind of tells you how much difference the draft makes in these next gens. And why don't we actually try to see if we can get a good idea of how fast they actually go. Pull up the dashboard on these cars. And so you can see right here, Eric Laurie actually going about 195, 196, 197. So just about touching 200 miles an hour here as they hit turn number 1. And that was with a big push there from that 18 there. We talked about the lock that you can do, the tandem push, if you will. And that really pushed that 071 away from the field here. However, that top side, Gabe Butler coming with a big head of steam here. He's got a big help from the 07, and also tagging on, I believe, is on the back there is the 64 of Austin Colby. You can see, again, the 2 tandeming with each other. It's really kind of the 64 is trying to stay in touch with them, but once they separated like they did, he didn't really have an option to try to get tagged back on there. And unfortunately, he's going to lose that toe because those 2 drivers now drop to the inside line, as pretty much leaves him as the lone driver on the outside. So it's going to be a very lonely number 64 Liquid Death machine for Austin. Just looking for a spot to maybe try to slide into. He's going to try to, oh, you see that? He just snuck right in front of Bud Steele. Bud Steele didn't want any of it. He's going to try to jump top, but I think Bud's going to probably have to tuck right back in line here because there's no help up top right now. So we've kind of got a train right now rolling the bottom. You see Edwin Outlaw there in just the foreground there for a second. You see he's about to go a lap down, and then just not too far in the distant future is that 510 of Rick Sanchez as well. And look at that right there with that move by Bud Steele moving to the top. You see the separation. It built a couple tenths of a second. Should be able to regain the draft as he's got help from the 6 and the 1. However, if he was by himself at the back of the field, that could have potentially been a draft losing situation there. So, but right now, everybody still continues to stay out. We'll just kind of keep an eye and watch when pit stops happen to see if we can find out what the fuel mileage is going to look like. But right now, we've got pretty much a boot knocker top 5 right now. From Eric Laurie back to Duke Conrad. I believe Zach Workman isn't officially boot knocker, but I believe working with them this evening. And so even if he wasn't, I'd say he's definitely one that will be able to be up there and in contention on his own. But like I said, though, that 18 and the 07, I think they're going to be the ones fighting for max points here tonight because they have an outside chance of making it into that top 12 and go for a championship here in this one. So Also keep an eye out for them for sure. And then go just a little bit back there. You got the two of the closed circuit drivers there, the 2 and the 09. The other one's a little further back with the 6 and the 1 machines, separated there by that 30 and the number 64. So while we got the train here, let's go ahead and run through the field here, kind of get a running order of our drivers, where they started, where they're at. You get a better look at their paint scheme. So up front, we got Eric Laurie in the 071, started in 6th, currently in the 1st position. Right behind him, our pole sitter, Zach Workman, started on the pole, currently 2nd spot, gained a few bonus points there right off the bat. And then Gabe Butler currently +7 positions in the 88 machine there. So got a new paint scheme courtesy of that car. 2 cars behind him of Dude Conrad. I'd say Dude's already like wanting to make some more changes, and I'll say the quick viewers there will notice a little extra viewing material for drivers that are next to him here on the rear quarter panels. And then you got that Hash Brothers Performance 07 of Brian Wing, extra life on the quarter panels as well. Lucky Dog's on there as well, supporting a bunch of the Boot Knocker sponsors here, and in that Larry Yingling special paint scheme. So always love seeing that paint scheme. So it was a very, very dominant paint scheme in the Area 51 Super Speedway, not Super Speedway, Next Gen Cup Series. Then we switch over to that number 8 of Dude Conrad, that nice white and blue number 8 Yorkville machine there. Just really, really good paint schemes there. And let's say when he's in these races, he's more of a part-timer, but when he's here, he's always one to contend with. So right now, Dude's kind of just cruising. I think he's in a good spot. He's got all his buddies in front of him with his teammates, so he's feeling like he's in a pretty safe position there. While right behind him, that 67 of Derek Buffo, that Buffalo Wild Wings machine. As see the field blow on by there down the backstretch. Another good-looking paint scheme there. Again, I think first season here with the league, but already showing that he's going to be one to be reckoned with over the course of the season. And then again, I've already mentioned my bias. Love that number 2 Dodge here by Joshua Hanner there. He's got the red and black machine of that Dodge. And then right behind him, the 09 of Josh Lassen, that pink and black Ford Mustang, all part of that closed circuit organization. And then in 9th, you have David Hanna. Again, that number 30 Chevrolet Limitless Laser sponsorship on the side and hood of that machine. And then right behind him, we talked about the Liquid Death of Austin Call in his Toyota Camry. I don't think we're Super yet. I can never keep up with these cars. And then just outside the top 10, Bud Steele in that number 10 Bellhaven machine there. So we got, not right now, but Battle of the Beers eventually, probably between that 10 and the 88 at some point in this one. As you see, actually, he's trying to get to the outside of that 64 as we're talking about it. And right behind him, Matt Wagner, that number 6 Coca-Cola machine, that Toyota. He is currently sitting roughly around 10th or 11th or 12th, depends on where he is on track in relation to these guys around him. And then the other Dodge of Chris Pacini, I believe the painter of this car, a good-looking machine there, sitting in the number 12 position as they run. So then we'll drop back. Unfortunately, those drivers that had lost the draft here, the 51 of Jim Brooks in the 51, minus 11 from his starting spot, so not the initial start he was hoping for, sitting in 14th, but he does have help from that 36 Coca-Cola of Jimmy Highland, also the 63, the Talladega Nights Me machine of Brandon Briggs, and then Rick Sanchez in that 510, that Jasper Racing Engine is great looking paint scheme on that 510, but unfortunately also, as you can see, lost the draft there as well. Then you go to Edwin Outlaw, who's actually on pit road as we speak. You see that 12 car actually looks to try and get in his pit stall, which makes me wonder, are we getting near pit stop window, or is this an early pit stop by the 12? And looks like currently it is just an early pit stop for the 12, so we'll keep an eye on that here. But we are approaching we're on lap 19 now, coming to 20 next time around, so I think we are starting to near that pit window for our leaders here. And yeah, Hondo, this is me indeed, and glad to have you on here, man. And yeah, I'll say we'll have to get you into here, Hondo. So unfortunately, we've had to lock out the new registrants for this season. However, like I said, it's only going to be pretty much four more weeks until we get to the next round. So we'll definitely get you in here, see if your Thursdays or Sunday nights are free. Get you accumulated with, or acclimated, I should say, get the words right, with these boys and have some fun. I'd love to see you out there at Super Speedways, and I think you'd be a lot of fun to watch with them. As right now, again, here we go, pit stops are occurring, and it looks like we might have pretty much a full field, potentially, nope, a few guys staying out, Now they gotta make sure they don't step on each other's toes entering pit lane. So far, so good. You see a lot of stagger between all the drivers. And it looks like we're gonna have a good pit entry for all these guys. Now the next step is hitting the pit stalls. And for me with these next gens, I always struggle overshooting my pit stall here. I feel like these cars just don't have that little bit of brake you want at the absolute very end. So these guys gotta make sure they don't overshoot their pit stalls. And so far, oh, Gabe Butler overshoots. You see him reversing in the background there. Here comes that second pack of drivers hitting pit road. So that's going to slow the 88 down a little bit. And we'll have to also see how long these pit stops are, because right now it's looking like 4 tires, I believe, potentially. So a little bit longer pit stops than I would have expected. And it's actually going to be Brian Wang winning the race off pit road out of these drivers. But now we go, here's the overcut for you F1 fans. We got closed circuit. We got Bud Steele. They're going to go 1 more and possibly 2 more. Some good fuel mileage out of these drivers here. This is where they got to be real aggressive and just really hustle these cars. Try to see if they can make this extra lap work, and actually extra 2 laps now at this point. So really aggressive pushing is what's going to be needed here for them to have a chance at this one. The other thing that's going to happen is you're going to see just in a moment, they're going to start to catch some of those drivers leaving pit road. There's the 510 right now. They're about to catch the 30 car and put him down a lap as well. Oh, actually, no, look at the 30. He's spun onto the infield here. I think we'll stay green. Yep, car still pointed forward. But unfortunately, David Hanna going to lose a lot more track position out of that. So they continue to kind of catch up to those guys in front. But at the front, it's Brian Wang that leads those that just pitted. So right now, like I said, they're working on still getting themselves organized, and you watch in the background, here comes those drivers that had not pitted, and they've definitely had the pit stop look to them, and here they come. Same thing, they got to make sure they give enough space for each other. Oh, it's close. Oh, there's the contact you're worried about, and that is going to involve a few drivers here, and that is heartbreaker for a few of them. The 2 by far gets the worst of it, but we'll just see now, can they stay together? And that was the opportunity. They had a chance there to try to go ahead and get all in together, but just a little bit of a miscue on pit road entry there, and that's going to really hurt a few because, oh, you see the one also having to back up into his pit stall. Such a good strategy. Looks like it's starting to all come undone here. It looks like Bud Steele hit his pit stall nicely. The 2, yeah, overshoots his stall. He's going to back it up as well. So now it's going to really be all about the pit exit here. As you can see, there goes the 1. He's leaving pit road. Matt Wagner's a little bit delayed. The 09 delayed. Now Bud Steele goes. And it's going to be Chris Passini out here by himself trying to build speed back up in that number 1 machine. However, if he looks out his back, right now it looks okay. But right now he's got a very slow pit exit to deal with. It's very flat here, so it's very difficult to get through. And yeah, so he is going to try to see if he can. He has a really good chance here. If he can get his momentum built up here, he's going to have to be aggressive. But he could hold on to this main pack of 4 here, as it was a great entry and exit. But I have a feeling, though, the way these next gens don't pull up very well with one another, it's not going to be an easy task for him. But he needs to stay on this inside line. You're going to see, there they go. They're going to blow by the outside. But now if he can just hang on to them and maybe stay in this draft, this will help give him a chance here as we continue to stay green. But you see now Eric Laurie has put some distance on him, and you're going to see that 1 looks like just going to start to fade into the distance. So that's a heartbreaker right now for that 1 machine. Really nothing he can do except for probably at this point wait for that second pack to catch him. Not Robert Wagner on this one. Is Matt Wagner, one of our admins for the Area 51 Tuesday series with the open wheel IR18 machines. And also does some broadcasting with me as well over here on Green White Checker TV. So a little bit of everything under the hat of that number 6 machine. And yeah, so unfortunately for Passini, just the no help is what's doomed him here. So you got a 3-car breakaway up front, and then Passini's kind of in his own little island. He's going to have to wait for these 3 drivers here, Derek Bofo, Dude Conrad, and Austin Collin, Gabe Butler, and hopefully try to tag onto the foursome of them. Otherwise, we got to go back another 2.5 seconds to Bud Steele and Matt Wagner. And then you got to go 8 seconds back here to that 2 of Josh Hanner and the 09 of Josh Laston. And then another, looks like, 13, 14 seconds back to Jim Brooks, who's unfortunately off on his own little island. Then you got these 2 of David Hanna and Brandon Briggs. They've hooked up together, so they should be able to catch Jim. And then you get to the 36 of Jimmy Pyland right now, who's kind of off on his own. And then you get to the lap down cars here, the 510 of Rick Sanchez and the number 12 of Edwin Outlaw, currently sitting at, I believe, 2 laps down, 1 for the 510. But right now, based on the fuel mileage, it looks like this is going to be a 3-stop race. These guys not able to get to lap 25. So look for three pit stops in this one. And now instead of showing the gaps, let's go ahead and pull up our last lap time so we can see kind of how the leaders are running compared to those behind. And we can see, is there a chance of these guys catching one another? Because right now, like I said, it's about a 5 to 6 second gap between the top 3 to 4th. So we'll see how these top 3 are looking lap time wise compared to those sitting on 4th and back. So you see there, low 55s, 55.02 to 55.08 for those top 3. Then you drop back to Derek Buffo, and actually a 55.21 there, so about a tenth slower, maybe 2/10 even. So not the time they're looking for. They want to try to gather that time a little bit closer here. So yeah, not what they're looking for. And the other thing is, you see, I think we're seeing here is I think Gabe Butler knows that they need the numbers. He's going to actually back up to pick up that one car of Chris Passini. I'll say Gabe knows big picture racing. He knows all the numbers. The more numbers you can get, the better. And Passini's going to push that 88 back into this pack here because, like I said, had Gabe not done this, this would have completely left that number 1 again out to dry. So good teamwork there by the 88. Not even teamwork, honestly, because it's not part of the same team, just good sportsmanship, I guess would be the right word for the number 88 car to pick him up. And again, though, it's probably going to be a big, kind of a long time gain, if you will, because I think it's going to help them catch. So we'll pull the timing back up once more. 55.48 for the leaders. This time at 55.53 for those behind. So again, running at similar lap times, but not going the right direction, unfortunately. So it's grown to about a 5.5, almost 6 second gap between 1st and 4th. And then you go a little further back to Bud Steele. Say he is currently sitting still in the 9th position with Matt Wagner. The two of them are running 56.50s. So not the lap times they are needing. Obviously about a full second slower, I should say, with just the two of them. And then these two here, 56.33 for Hanner and Laston, just trying to see if they can get back up to them. But they've got about a half a straightaway distance between them. So right now this field's very, very spread out. It's going to make it very difficult. And it has a really big green flag. Look, you see now Jim has been caught by David Hanna and Brandon Briggs. That's going to help their pace out a little bit, which is always a good help. But really what this does is it has a really good green flag look to it. But the other thing that could come into play with this situation is where those drivers in the 2nd, 3rd, and company packs, this is where they start to get a little bit over aggressive, maybe try to push a little too hard to try to see if they can make some ground back up, and that's sometimes where the mistakes happen. And we'll actually pull up the track map so you can see where these guys are on track in relation to one another, and you can kind of see how split up this field currently is there. And so you can see it's by position, not by car number. So right now you've got the leader there. Right now entering turn number 3 and 4, coming to the start finish line, and then you see the 4th place car was just entering turn 3 pretty much as they were coming out of turn 3. So and then you have to go even further back. So yeah, so right now it's pretty spread out here, and yeah, I'd say apologies for the awkwardness. It's just what I do best. But glad to have you guys in here and chatting with me. And like I said, if there's anything you want updates on or anybody to check on, by all means, let me know. Lap time wise, though, it's still in the advantage of these top 3. It was a 54.84 compared to a 55 flat for these guys here. And I mean, you see the difference right now. Look at the gap between the 1st and 2nd car in this pack. You see how there is separation between the two of them. Now they're starting to break that bubble, if you will, now. But then you go right here to these two, and pretty much the 18 has been locked onto the back of this 07 for a good chunk of it. So I think that's where the time is being made. Yes, solo broadcasting is definitely tough. Like I said, I usually have a second chair. However, we wanted to make sure we had enough cars here tonight, or get a few more extra cars in there tonight. So got Wagner in the booth here this evening. Usually in the booth, I should say, on track though this evening. I say, and then my normal, or I should say, my occasional second chair as well. Chris Matthews, he's probably doing dad life. And then I'll say, Boomer, miss you, buddy, but I'll say he deserved to have some vacation time, so he's taking well-deserved time off as well. So hopefully Boomer's having a good time. Shoe-wise for the broadcaster, I am quite shoeless at the moment, so hopefully that doesn't cause any troubles or that make people too interested. Yeah, stay comfortable in broadcasting time. I say I'm not formal or anything like that. I have my webcam on, so I'm pretty safe on that front. and I appreciate it. Tell Darce, say once we get back onto the non-broadcast platform, he can or she can have at it and call me all the names she wants to. But I definitely appreciate the positive feedback from her. Hopefully she's having a good evening as well before we get back to reality for the next work week. And yes, you are correct. Yeah, the number 12 of Edwin Outlaw. Last name is indeed Outlaw. I say you're right. It's a pretty cool last name for that number 12 card. Has, like I said, has a chance, might be in the playoffs as well. So we could have an Outlaw going for the championship here. I've never heard of Osha. I don't know what you're talking about there, Hondo. All right, looking at lap times last time by, man, that's a big lap time for those leaders. They ran a 55.06 to a 55.78 for this group and back. And I think here's the difference. Here's why. You wonder how they lose 0.7 of a second, because they're trying to reorganize and figure out who needs to be the pusher. And so they're trying to, I say they're hoping for a little loss here to then make big gains later with switching it up. And that last time by was a 54.85 for leaders to a 55.48 for that second pack. And yeah, it's just, I'll say the numbers are going the wrong way, but they're thinking that maybe this is the combo they need. Maybe this one, the 64, they can make some magic happen. So we'll have to keep an eye on. But you can see they're also starting to kind of separate themselves from Jude Conrad, Gabe Butler, and Derek Buffo. So they'll get back to each other, but a little bit of separation there with all that going on. And actually, Bud Steele, Matt Wagner, they had a really slow last lap. I think these guys may have had a moment. I'll try to see if I can find out where it was. I don't know if I'll be able to go back and find it, because there hasn't. I'll say it's been pretty calm, cool, and collected here, but I believe there was a moment between possibly just a push gone wrong, or actually I think what's happening here, they said, you know what, 2 packs of 2, let's go with one big pack of 4. I think this is strategy actually with these 4 drivers. I think they back down their pace to pick up these drivers, and they want to try to go a little bit quicker. So actually some strategy being played by these one of the Roswell drivers and 3 of the closed circuit drivers. I like the idea. I think this is a really good move here. And also for those leaders up front, the change has helped. They picked up about 0.2 of a second to the leaders that last time by. However, we talked about that gap being about 3 or 4 seconds. It is 7 seconds. It's closing now, but it grew for a big margin there those previous laps. So, and pit window wise, I say we're still probably about another 10-ish laps away from pit stops. So these guys, like I said, right now, I think these guys are just honestly just kind of making laps. So say this is where in the real racing, you probably see either stage caution or debris caution, but say that doesn't happen here in iRacing. So only actual iRacing thrown yellows are going to slow this race down. So right now, staying pretty lean and green at the moment. And actually, last time by, again, 0.8 of a second gain between that second pack and the first. It was a 55.20 up front, a 54.43 with actually Derek Buffalo that last time by had a fast slap of the race, a 54.38, trying to catch that main pack. So if they can keep this momentum built up, that looks like that one in the 64, they are working very well together. And I think they are willing to take that risk, and they've cut that 7-second gap down to now about 6 seconds. So like I said, there's going to be some ebbs and flows, but I like what I'm seeing, though, out of this second pack right now. They're really hustling it, trying to get back after it. So, again, we'll be watching these lap times as they continue to click off. As you see right here, there's the gap between that first pack and that second pack. We'll see if they need to pick up the pace in this first pack, and they do go about a 10th quicker, 55.09. We'll drop back to these guys at 54.47, 0.6 of a second quicker. It is now in that 6-second window between that first pack and the second. So they are doing a very, very good job here of staying in that, keeping that bubble broken and shoving that 64 right now to the front here to try to have a chance to still get after this. But again, the next big thing, this next big hurdle is going to be pit stops. They're going to have to make sure they get a good in-lap, good out-lap, and not have that contact that they had earlier, because I think that, unfortunately, was really the undoing of most of those closed circuit drivers. The only one that stood a chance to hold on to him was that number 1 of Chris Passini. He just, unfortunately, didn't have any help to hold on to that lead pack draft, so that's why he's fallen back to these guys. And now, like I said, once they got organized and found the right pushers and leaders, it looks like it's been going very, very well for them, as it's actually slowed down a little bit up front, so 55.16 for that number 07. And the fast slap of the race now, 54.07, a full second quicker. Austin Call there in that number 64 car being pushed. So great job by these guys. They are closing that gap. You can see, again, we talked about being about 6 seconds. It's now into the 4-second margin. they are closing the gap. And they, again, if they can get to that window, if they can get to these guys before pit stops, that is going to make this a whole new ball game. If they can keep what they're doing right now as we get to near our pit stop window for pit stop number 2, there would be one more still after this one. And also definitely keep me posted if the frame rate, the quality, everything looks good. I did some upgrades to my computer over the weekend, so hopefully giving you a little bit better quality without losing any frame rates, things of that nature. So trying to give the best product I can. So hope it's paid off, because let's say that's definitely part of. Selfishly, of course, I want it to look good when I get to race, but also want it to look good for everybody when I'm able to broadcast as well. Lap time update, another about 0.8 of a second, 55.29 for leaders, 54.57 for the second place group. We talked about being in the 4-second window, now in the 3-second window. So, and once they get another second or two, they're going to start to sniff the draft of Brian Wang and company. So yeah, so right now they're getting there. It's saying it doesn't look like there's too much concern for these guys up front. They haven't really changed their approach. They've just decided, you know what, we're doing what we're doing. If it works, it works. And so far, it's not going too badly for him. As I believe, Brandon Briggs, you see him in the 63. He has just hit pit road for his second scheduled stop. Again, still will need to make one more stop here as we're just about to approach the halfway point next time around, I believe, as we start lap 37 of 75. And looking at lap times, it looks like, yep, again, another about 0.8 of a second now for these guys. So, like I said, those cars in front are growing ever larger. Yeah, I think you're right, Hondo. I think they are going to be catching them here. We'll actually hop on the roof of this car. And this is actually a good opportunity here. Look at this. They're going to pick up the draft of that 12 car. I would expect to see Edwin probably jump to the top here before they get to him in 3. Unless he's pitting, he may stay low. And we'll wait and see. And he's staying low. I think that means that's a pit stop coming for the 12. So, unfortunately, that's not the ideal line that they want. As you see, actually, Edwin trying to play extra nice, run the apron there. So he's going to try to duck in. I think, like I said, we'll probably see him on pit road. And these guys continue to stay out and log laps. Like I said, this lap might be a little slower for these guys. But yeah, I mean, you can see, though, they're pretty much there. It's in the 2. It's pretty much consistently almost a second a lap, roughly, per lap that these guys have been catching. It was a 55.22, 54.54 for the second pack. So, again, about 0.7 of a second. So, but yeah, no, exactly right. Yes, it's a bigger group, but at the same time, I think it's really the job that's being done is being done by these two right here. I got to give big shout out right now to Chris Passini, Austin Call. They have been working hard. And as they joking aside, I feel like the 36 and the who's all in that group? Yeah, sorry, the 36, the 8, the 88, and the 67. They're just kind of taking advantage of it. Like, yeah, kind of pull us along, guys. This is working great for us. However, say as we come up to leaders, they're catching another group here. This is going to start to increase their pace a little bit, but it's also going to start to add some lucky dogs and lap traffic battles into this mix. The 30 and the 51 of Jim Brooks. This would put them 1 lap down. This would put Rick 2 laps down in the 510. So, and you actually see Rick, he's just going to go straight to the top here. And I believe if I'm Rick here, you're trying to use that banking possibly for momentum to shift down and try to pull you back to those guys. I don't know if it's going to happen as we just crossed the halfway point in this race. You see Edwin Outlaw, they're leaving pit road in the 12. That's left Jim Brooks there on the inside with the 30 behind him. And you can see they've decided, you know what, I want to stay on the bottom, and this could be an opportunity for them to hang on to this lead pack draft here. These guys definitely, it was a 54.78 last time by to a 54.40. So yeah, so that draft really helped increase their pace in this previous lap. But I say pit stops will be looming here very shortly because we're just about to start lap number 40 now. And yeah, really it's stalled out just a little bit right now. You can see they've kind of spread themselves out a little bit. And yeah, this time by it was only about a 1/10 of a second gain. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. It's actually the top 3 actually extended their lead this last time by 54.47 to a 54.75 for our top 3 to our 4th position car. So again, the numbers are still looking good. They're in a good spot here. Like I said, you can really see them now. But yeah, it did definitely slow down that pace a little bit, I think, with dealing with some of that traffic, trying to get themselves where they want to be. But like I said, it's visible now. I mean, you can see them out the distance. So really now I think the name of the game is going to be pit stops. And no, I think once they catch this group, if and when they catch them before pit stops, I think they just kind of stay in line and kind of just settle in, be like, okay, hey, we made it. Now let's figure out the next plan. But yeah, here we go. Right as they were getting there, it's pit stop time. So those 4 are in, and we've got a big pack all trying to hit pit road together. And looks like everybody's done a good job. Nobody getting into one another. So job done for these guys to all hit pit road. Now it's all about trying to make sure you hit your pit stalls without stepping on each other's toes. So like I said, number 1 pit stall goes to Zach Workman. So he has no dramas. He knows he can cut in last of everybody. Doesn't have to worry about any of that. Everybody else has to try to make sure that they can find their pit stalls and not overshoot. Ooh, saw a little bit of a reverse there, I believe, from Eric Laurie. But so far, so good. Looks like the rest of the field doing pretty well. And then Bud Steele and company, they're actually going to stay out here and go a little further because they pitted later. They can go a little further on fuel. And then now we wait for these guys to leave pit road. And it looks like Zach Workman going to be the first off. And actually, a great stop by he and Jim Brooks. They're going to lock on together here possibly. And this could be an opportunity for them to try to see if they can break away from the field here on this pit exit. Oh, you see Jim. You have one running really low, one running really high. Oh, Zach in the grass. He's going to go off track. That's going to be an incident point as well. So he's going to lose the incident-free race. Oh, he comes up with track across the nose of the 07. He's going to loop it around. No yellow yet. Oh, big hit by a couple of the drivers there. There's the caution is out. That is a huge, huge heartbreaker for the 18 car. Also involving Dude Conrad there in the 8. And I believe Gabe Butler as well in the 88 here. That is a huge break. And actually, who I believe, I'll have to wait for timing and scoring to update, but we'll just see Jim Brooks, maybe the lucky dog. It might go to David Hanna, who's on pit road now. But I think this is great news for a lot of drivers here. Let's go back and watch it. So we saw the 18 just drifting it through the pit exit here. And just unfortunately just wasn't able to quite hang on to it. And again, maybe wonder if the inside line wasn't the line to be on, because you can see Jim's way up top, he's way down low, and that car just breaks loose from him here. And unfortunately, like I said, he tries to correct it, but once it does, it hooks, and that just sends him straight back onto the track. You see right there, it starts to change, and he catches it the first time, but then I believe that it's that second and third right here. He's got it. And then it's going to just hook back to, again, you can see the wheel pointed to the right, goes back into the grass. And then at this point there, that's where he's behind on the steering. There's nothing he can do. You see great avoidance by Brian Wing. He sneaks by it as well. And then, yeah, there's the banking transition. You can see, I'm sure that causes some damage to the 18 car. And then when you're up top there, the banking, there's not much you can do. You can see the brakes, they're locked. You can see how little they're rotating. That's the brakes being locked down. The 64 sneaks by. The 071 sneaks by. And, oh, look how close the 67 is there. Almost has to slide it around. And then Dude Conrad and Gabe Butler, they don't know where to go. There's not really any options for them. Dude gets into him, who gets into Gabe. And unfortunately, that gives them both a little bit of damage and also takes away their incident-free race on this one. So, and importantly for a lot of drivers, though, it brings out the yellow. And like I said, that is a huge, huge break for a lot of drivers here. And actually, it looks like, look at the right front of that car not spinning here. Some suspension damage, it looks like, possibly for Zach Workman's machine. So he's going to try to limp that back to pit road. However, speaking of pit road, here's those drivers. They set out that extra lap, and that was crucial because now they can hit pit road here. And it looks like Bud Steele's going to swing on by. And I think, actually, everybody else went ahead and pitted as well. So Bud Steele, with that staying out the extra lap, he is going to take over the lead of this race. Wow, this has been a big, big change in this one. And then again, looking to check timing and scoring. And I believe, like I mentioned, yeah, Jim Brooks, I think, is going to get back on the lead lap here in that number 51. So he got the wave around. So Jim back on the lead lap. And then I believe David Hanna here, he is right now the tail end of the lead lap, as well as that 36 of Jimmy Pyland. And they had just pitted not too many laps ago. So I predict these guys, they're going to stay out, take the wave around. They'll be a little bit worse off on fuel, but they'll be in a good spot. And then I believe Rick Sanchez in the 510. He's 2 down at the moment. Or I should say he's 1 down, tail end 1 down, but he should be able to wave around as well to get one of his laps back. And I believe Brandon Briggs, yeah, he just hit pit road here. So, yeah, so we're going to have a huge shuffle in the running order here. So that was pretty wild. So I'm going to take a break, get some water in me, and then we'll get back here in just a moment as we get to the one to go. So stay tuned. I appreciate that, David, because I have been talking this whole time and I have been muted, and I guess my setup of going from caution back didn't turn my microphone back on. That's a rookie mistake there. So Hondo, David, thank you for bringing it to my attention. Apologies for not seeing it sooner. So that's kind of embarrassing. Rookie streamer, rookie broadcaster. But I am back now, so thank you guys. So I went through the whole field telling you all about the drivers, and all you got to hear was the crank it up stuff. So that being said, probably a bonus for you guys not having to hear my voice for as long as that was. However, we are down to 23 to go. So again, pit window, probably another 5 laps. I'm saying it's going to be safely open. The question mark again is, do you schedule your fuel mileage to go to the distance, or do you think about running mileage to the green-white checkered window? And I'm watching lap times, and once again here, it's starting to shrink a little bit. So we'll go back to our last time. You'll see right there 55.20s up front. Then you go back to Brian Wang, 54.38, so almost a full second quicker. They have been stepping it up here. So the gap is shrinking. It's still a pretty solid gap. Again, it's about 5 seconds to the car in front, 6 seconds to the leaders, but it is going the right direction. And this is also where pit strategy could come in. You might want to gamble here a little bit on honestly, like if I'm these guys in the second pack here, do you pit early? Do you just maybe take as little fuel as you possibly need and just hope that it goes to the scheduled distance? And that little bit less fuel, that maybe brings that, let's say that 5 second gap to maybe a 2 second gap. All those little things are going to matter here. So we'll have to keep an eye on. Again, lap time wise, there's a 54.69 to a 54.53. So still about 2/10 to the guys in the second pack. But I think this pack saw, hey, we're starting to lose some of the lead we have. We can't just rest on our laurels. We got to step it up a notch. So I think the aggression picking back up from these 2 closed circuit Dodge drivers leading the field. And like I said, that's going to be critical, because if they can keep this gap up after they hit pit stops, then they try to settle it amongst themselves. But I think right now there's going to be a lot of team play and a lot of team strategy in this one. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out. And actually, David, I'm missing you on track, man. I definitely would love to get you back on the circuit here. I say we've definitely been enjoying when you were in these races. So by all means, when you're free, sir, come on back. Always open door for you. I think we still have you even in the member list, so would love to have you back, David. And I'll say we're getting to that regular season finales for this week tonight, and then of course Thursday for the trucks, and then we get to our 4 race playoffs. So door always welcome for you, sir. So appreciate you hopping in and kind of watching the broadcast and helping me realize I'm making some mistakes on this microphone side of things. But yeah, so. Right now, though, it continues to be these guys. Like I said, it's teamwork right now is kind of the name of the game. Last time by 0.3 of a second quicker for Brian Wang than Joshua Hanner. So again, the gap is going the right direction. This looks like this 4-car pack has gotten back to kind of staying locked on together very nicely here, and that's what it takes. Oh, see right there, though. Actually, you watched Gabe there. He actually pushed the 8 into the 07. There's usually an unwritten rule of don't push the pusher. At the same time, remember when I said that risks will be taken? I think these guys are making some calculated risks right now and just trying to push each other as hard as they can. And they were, once again, about 0.2 of a second quicker. So it's going the right way. It's still about, I'd say they have about a 4.5 second from Brian to Eric. And so again, you see on the ticker that they're 5.5 seconds off the lead, but the other one you want to look at is the distance to the car in front of them. And so I think I have that on my ticker. You guys may not have that on yours, but it's about 4.5 seconds between Brian and Eric. So that said, though, we're at 20 to go here. We're going to come to 19 to go. So this is now where the strategy needs to start to unfold. Who maybe considers short pitting? Who's going to run long? And I think, I mean, you have to have the whole team to make that same decision with you, but. I think you short pit. I think if you're in this pack here, I think you pit early. Again, you are making strides though, so you don't want to risk it too much. But I do like the idea of maybe making a bit of a short pit here and taking a gamble. But you can see right now this first pack though is a little jumbled. So lap time again 55.08. This time was a 54.75. So again, a couple tenths quicker for that second pack. So. The numbers are doing what they want them to do from here. Again, you can see it's even getting a little closer. But look what they've done, though. They've got this little trio tandem going, and that's actually dropped that 51 of Jim Brooks. And at this point, there's nothing he can do unless they really separate and drop back to him. But I don't see it happening. So if you're Jim here, this actually might be an opportunity. If you're in your pit window, I would just duck in now because you're just going to start to lose more and more pace. So it may be worth the gamble to short pit. But unfortunately, this aggressive drafting by these top three, and that's what happens. Again, if you're out of that bubble, these three have stayed in, and man, they are working hard. And we're actually going to go look at the lap times again. And yeah, it's about a half a second quicker once again. But we're going to hop on board with Gabe Butler, and we'll just watch how tight these guys are going here. Like I said, they are pretty much doing it. You see right there, the 8 drags his brake to pick up the 88. He's going to push into the 07. And then here it is. These guys are, yeah, just kind of tandem drafting. And then again, the 8's going to have to drag his brake a little bit to pick back up the 88. And that's how they're making the speed right now. That's very, very aggressive racing. And again, for a lot of drivers that race super speedway, there's kind of that maybe not unwritten rule, but yeah, don't push the pusher. But like I said, gambles are going to be made, and right now they think this is a gamble that they need to make to be able to have a chance to get up there. So they're going to stay aggressive. They're going to, like I said, the 88's going to push the 8, push him into the 07, and they're just going to stay as locked onto each other as much as they can. And again, like I said, though, the lap time, the track time, it's going the right way. They were making gains, although last time by, they were 55.27 to a 54.67. So, like I said, I think these guys up front, they're not just sitting around. They're not just riding. They saw what's happening and say, we got to pick up our pace. We got to get after it here. And actually, we got some drivers on pit road here as we speak. It looks like the 30 is on pit road, the 510 and the 63. And actually, no, I think Brandon Briggs had an issue here. We'll jump back and take a look. I say you never want to focus on these, but unfortunately, I think Brandon had a moment coming onto pit road, so we'll wait and see. Oh yeah, he tried to get on the brakes there to avoid him, and then yeah, just locks it down, and oh yeah, just couldn't get there. So he actually went ahead and just stopped and took a tow because he probably couldn't make another lap on fuel. So it's kind of a risk versus reward. But up front though, here we go. Leaders are on pit road, kind of a split decision. It looks like you've got the 67 on pit road, the 64, the 18. So. Yeah, so you got some of the leaders on pit road. Some of the other guys, like I said, Brian Wayne Company, they decided to come in as well this time. Everybody's trying to find their pit stalls. Looks like they have done so, but these guys opting to stay out and go a little further. We'll see if this is the right call or not. Again, this is that we saw this in the first run. These guys went a lap further and it looked good, but then mistakes were made and it wound up really, really hurting them. So we'll have to watch and see, do they react? Do they come in this time here at coming to 15 to go? Or are they going to continue to go further? And it looks like further is the decision. So they say, we still got the number, we still got the fuel, let's just stay after it. So now let's look at those that had just pitted. And it looks like Austin Call, he's going to lead the field off of pit road. And it continues to be these 3-4 drivers. But actually look at the work by Brian Wang. He actually closed the gap to those guys. Remember, he was in that second pack that lost him. He's actually hooked back up now with the back of this pack, but look at all the jumbling around here. They are not staying organized. They're all starting to dice it up here and try to get themselves up to speed. That's going to slow down their outlaps, and unfortunately for Gabe and Dude Conrad, they weren't able to make that gap up. They're going to lose this main pack here, so they're going to pretty much be running as a duo. However, up front, though, now Eric Laurie is going to take the point in the 071. We'll see if he's going to get Brian Wing. Yep, he does. So expect to see these 3, really 5 now, actually. They're probably going to stay committed to each other. So now it's going to be, and here we go. Here comes pit stops. This needs to be a good pit stop. No mistakes this time for these guys. And so far, saw some deep block-ups there. Hopefully no speeding penalties. I'm not able to see it on my side, but that 2 car looked like he had to slow down a little extra after the pit entry line. So a little nervous for that number 2. You hope that they get in clean, but they all coming in here with 14 to go here at the line. Oh, the 6 Matt Wagner overshoots his pit stall, has to reverse it, and still is not lined up correctly. This is going to kill his chances. He's going to be seething right now, unfortunately. As you saw the 1 already rolling out of pit road, you see the 10 coming out of pit road. I still see the 2 sitting on pit road. Oh, that's your telltale pit road penalty for the 2. The number 6 is out there now with the 09. But again, though, they just don't have the lineup that they were needing here. So we'll have to watch and see how the timing and scoring shakes out. But up front, right now, Jim Brooks, he's just running along. He's probably hoping, hey, maybe if I can get a timely yellow, I have a chance still. But now we'll jump back to our leader because here he is once again completely alone. Chris Passini just doing too good of a job getting in and out of pit road and no help. I mean, he's just, at this point, he's just kind of committed to doing what he can. He has to now wait for everybody around him to catch back up, which right now you see Bud Steele, he doesn't have any help yet. And unfortunately, Bud's going to be in a bad spot because here they come. They all came in together. They're all hooked up together. They've already dropped the 09 and the 6 cars. Now, can Bud Steele tag onto the back, or is he going to get hung out to dry? And unfortunately, I think just they went long and everything looked good, but they just weren't able to all nail their pit stops and come out together. And sure enough, I think Bud is going to wind up losing this pack as well. So for Josh Lass and Matt Wagner, they just got to push like there's no tomorrow to try to get to Bud Steele, to then maybe have a chance to get back up to them. And then Chris Passini and say, we're going to see it out the back of this car right now. Same thing. He is probably between a rock and a hard place. I think what he's got to do here, he's got to stay on the bottom. You heard him actually shift up the gear, try to pick up the revs here. He needs to hope that he can maybe tag onto the back of these guys. If he can hold on to the lead here into turn number 3, maybe he's going to have to force him to take the top side, and then maybe he gets the momentum he needs. But I just don't know if he's going to be able to without making some big risky move. And you can see he's trying to force him up top here, make him take the longer way around, maybe have a chance to hold on to that 67. We'll hop on the roof here and see if he can do something with it. But right now, I'm not feeling too confident. His best bet might be here if he can pick up this car to his outside, who I believe is Rick's. No, I'm sorry, that's the 30 car. Apologies. That is David Hanna. And it's going to be nip and tuck, but I'm not feeling super confident about this number 2 being, number 1 being able to keep up that main pack, because right now that timing and scoring is not going the right way for him. So we'll keep an eye on that. They have caught Bud Steele, so we got those 3 now locked on together, but without a yellow at this point, it's going to be a top 5 battle for the win here. You got the three drivers here, 2 of the teammates there in the boot knockers, the 071, the 07. Again, Eric Glory right now, he is our regular season points leader, so he's pretty much locked in for now at this point for the championship, or I should say regular season kind of championship. Again, no bonus points, no prizes, anything, unfortunately, just kind of bragging rights. But this now comes into play. Do we see some team strategy? Do we see some teamwork? Or is it just whoever can get their first wins? Because, like I said, Brian Wang and the 18 of Zach Workman, they're on the outside looking in. I say they've missed a few races, so they want to get into the points battle here and be able to run for the championship, but they need to max points in this race. And unfortunately, you can see in the timing and scoring, Passini, he is completely lost the guys. I think he's actually went ahead and backed it down to wait to get to the second pack and see if they can work some magic again. And honestly, if they can find that same kind of quad setup that they had before, because there was some really good pushing going on here, so they're going to need to try to get organized here quickly. But they were working really well with each other. And mentioned Joshua Hanna, unfortunately, he's about to get swallowed up by the leaders as well. So just unfortunately mistakes on pit road. It really has been the name of the game here tonight. Separating the field, bringing out the one and only yellow thus far. And we're coming to it, though, because this time by we're going to be at 10 laps to go. Also need to mention the 51 of Jim Brooks. He did stay out to lead a lap, however, now sits about 39 seconds off the pace. So he's unfortunately next in line to go a lap down if he gets caught. So he got a bonus point for that, but unfortunately, like I said, he got kind of ditched out of that 4-car draft when they started doing that, almost that triple tandem, if you will. So yeah, right now it looks like it's going to be pretty much a 5-horse race, because it's now about 7 seconds between Bud Steele to Derek Buffo. And they just, like I said, they don't really have the lock that they had before. Yeah, you can see right there. Oh, that's my concern. I was about to say that's where mistakes could be made. I think Josh Lassen somehow, we're going to go back and we're going to watch that. I think he hung onto that car, and I do not know how. So we're going to go back here, and so we're just going to have to go a quick rewind here. Apologies for this, because it doesn't come up on our timing and scoring here. But let's watch this again here. Watch this 09 of Josh Lassen. He's going to get a bump here. It's going to unsettle. Again, they got a little bit off-center. You can see the 09. He drifts up a little bit. He's going to get a little bit of that bump from the left rear by Chris Passini. And right here, look, this car is straight to the wall, You can see the wheel already cranking to the right. And then just big slide here. And you can see it starts to correct, and that does not hit the wall. That is some great hands there by Josh Lassen. Loses the pack, unfortunately. He's going to pick up some help from that 30 car, but he still has a car in one piece. So great job by Josh there hanging on to that thing. I don't know how he kept hold of that car. And also, good to see you on here, Chris. I know you're just here for Hondo, but appreciate you being on board. I'm going to call it you're supporting me, so appreciate it, sir. But we're getting to it here. 8 to go this time at the line. And right now, I think these guys are just trying to basically buy their time. And like I said, especially with that mistake that happened behind him, that gap has grown even further. Now it's only the 3 cars in that pack. They have picked up the 2 of Joshua Hanner, although I think they might need to drag the brake just a little bit to pick up that 2 car if they want to have him in the mix. So they'll have a 4th car, but I think at this point, without a yellow, it's just too little too late. So this is going to be the battle for the win here tonight between these 5 drivers. And like I said, each have their storylines here tonight. So I'm going to try to take a look at points while we're at it. So right now, like I said, Eric Laurie, our regular season points leader coming into tonight. However, the 07 and the 18 are on the outside looking in. Brian Wang is 18th in points. Zachary Workman was 17th in points coming into tonight. So those guys, like I said, they're trying to get to the top 12. There are some drivers that have missed races and are missing tonight's race, so there is a good opportunity for that. Austin Call in the 64 machine. I say looking for him in the points. He's down in 22nd, so yeah, he's just going for a win here tonight. And then same for Derek Buffo in the 67. He is actually, yeah, I think this is one of his first couple races, so I think he's a ways down in the points as well. So basically, yeah, we have really only the 1 driver in the points here. So, and right now, like I said, Eric Laurie was points leader over Jim Brooks, Gabe Butler, Bud Steele. He's ahead of all of them right now, so he could, if he chooses to, like I said, he could roll out of this thing, just take a top 5 if he wants to, and roll into the playoffs here, knowing that he was the regular season's points leader and has a chance to help one of these 2 drivers behind him have a chance to break into the top 12 in the points to go for that 4-race playoff. So we'll see. I mean, we still got 6 to go this time at the line, so strategies are going to be up to play here. And I think the wild cards are those 2 right behind him, that 60, 64, and 67. They could, like I said, they can go after it themselves. I don't think they're here for anything other than trying to get a win. So we might see here on board with that 67 of Derek Buffalo, that Buffalo Wild Wings machine. Could it be the 64 car there in front of him, Austin Call, trying to go for a win? Yeah, I mean, like I said, these guys are the unknowns because they don't really have any team affiliations. They're relatively new to the league this season. They're not able to, unfortunately, make the top 12 in points either. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. But right now, though, you see they just lost the top 3 just by a little bit here, but they're going to have to work together and make sure that they don't get dropped, because we saw what happened earlier when the 8, the 88, and the 07 got locked on together. They pretty much were able to drop those 3 away. So you see right now, right as I say that, Brian Wang is just pushing all Eric Laurie can handle here, trying to get him to sneak away from those guys, as well as we're now down to it, 5 to go. Like I said up front, this is the battle for the win here tonight. We got to go back 10 seconds now to pick up Bud Steele, who's with Chris Passini and Matt Wagner. Unfortunately, they did not pick up the 2 of Josh Hanner, so that is 1 less driver in their mix. You see Josh Lassen actually looks like I think he may have actually dropped back here to pick up his teammate of Josh Lassen, it looks like. Then he got to go back another 5 seconds to these 2, Gabe Butler and Dude Conrad. Unfortunately, they just they lost the draft really off that initial start and almost got back up there, just couldn't quite complete the gains there, as we saw the 07 be able to do. And then we mentioned Jim Brooks, unfortunately. He is next in line here to be put a lap down, but he's got some help in front of him. He's got the 36 of Jimmy Pyland, and he's got the 63 of Brandon Briggs right behind him. Right now is the last car on the lead lap. The 2 of Josh Hanner is right now the first car 1 lap down. Not too far behind is David Hanna, is the second car a lap down. And then Jimmy Pyland, apologies, the third car 1 lap down right now. But you can see they need to get organized here, because otherwise those leaders will catch them before we get to the end of this thing. And then unfortunately for Rick Sanchez, just has not been his night tonight. This is one of those ones you kind of erase it from your mind, you forget about it, and then you go into those playoffs and go after it all over again. So, and then for Brandon Briggs, same thing. He's had a tough one this evening as well, still sitting at 2 laps down, and then Edwin Outlaw at the moment at 5 down. I'm sorry. So just tough night for him as well. However, coming out of turn number 4, we are getting down to it here. 3 to go this time by at the line. So far, everybody's playing nice, staying in lockstep with one another. But like I said, someone's going to make a move. The question is, will it be from those top 3, or will it be from that 64 or the 67, maybe trying to make a different move amongst themselves? So that's, to me right now, that's the storyline. And of course, the other potentials, if anybody makes a mistake, tries to push too hard, too late. We've already seen some mistakes happen from the second packs trying to push too hard to catch back up. These guys up front, they say, everybody play nice, push nicely. Don't bring out a caution. We want to get that white flag and then settle it amongst ourselves. So we'll see if that comes into fruition tonight, or if we get late race drama, which is always a potential here on Green White Checker TV. And while we're at 3 to go, I see someone in the server who is not racing. So you've been dealing with my voice this whole time. I'm going to pull somebody in the booth here and put him on the spot, because why not? And that is going to be one of our very excellent super speedway drivers who hasn't raced here very much, unfortunately, lately. And that is Sebastian Marin. So Seabass, we're down to 2 to go here. Sounds like you're in an airplane. But
I apologize.
But we got 2 to go here. It's Eric Laurie leading Brian Wang and the 18 of Zach Workman, and then they got 2 drivers behind him, Austin Call, Derek Buffo. The 71, he's leading the points. He's got pretty much the regular season locked up here before we go into playoffs next week. The 07, the 18, they're on the outside looking in for the championship, or to make the championship, I should say, the top 12. What do you think these guys are going to do here in this white flag lap?
I don't know. I kind of expect them to at least either give Brian or Workman a win, because then if they do, that's another car in the playoffs that and then they can help each other and have a higher chance of winning the championship. But I don't know. Who knows? Who knows if they're gonna push Eric to the win? But I wouldn't be surprised if they let Brian or Workman get this win.
Well, we'll see, because we're down to it. We're down the backstretch on the final lap, so this is official from here. I'm watching the 18. He's definitely looking around, but right now doesn't have anybody to help him. The 2 behind are a little bit too spread out, and this is actually looking good for Eric, because now he's actually picking up draft from the cars in front of him, about to go a lap down. However, the 64 here, he's jumping up to the top. That is Derek Buffo, but no help here. Looks like he may get hung out here by that 67. He is going to get hung out here. So out of 4 right now, it is going to be Eric Laurie. Can the 07 make a move? But right now, like I said, Eric has the draft that he needs. And nope, no movement. Eric Laurie going to get the win here over the 07 of Brian Wang, and Zach Workman going to bring it home in 3rd. So yeah, so they stayed steady. We'll see. I'll have to look at the points after time, but we'll see if bonus points could have played a role in this one, sir. So I figured I'd harass you real quick. Saw you on there. Knew you weren't racing with these guys. So we miss you, though. Hopefully see you back on track soon.
Yeah, definitely. I'll maybe do a race here too whenever I got time. So maybe I'll be here next week. We'll see. Brian's trying to convince me to come race more often, so maybe you'll see me more often around here.
All right, sir. We'll let you get back over there. So I had to pull you up and keep you on your toes, though.
Thanks, no problem.
All right, that was Sebastian Marin, one of our very, very dominant drivers with the Area 51 League and just super speedway racing in general. But in the end, though, Eric Laurie going to get the win the regular season championship in style. And yeah, so great top 3 for these guys. And what we'll do is say they're all part of the same team. You see the 18. Oh, there he goes. I think voicing his displeasure by how his race goes as he gets turtled there at the front stretch, unfortunately. But yeah, Eric's going to go ahead and pull up here on the front stretch and go ahead and celebrate that well-deserved win. Just did everything right tonight. Like I said, he's going to be hoping that this is a sign of things to come. So while we watch Eric, I say, hopefully still got some fuel in the tank there to celebrate, although he did lead that whole way. So again, he may have run that thing pretty close on fuel. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But we'll do here is, yeah, let's go ahead and pull up our first one. Oh, there he goes. There's those burnouts. So I want to make sure we don't miss those. All right, so while we watch him burn it down, let's go ahead and pull up our final results before we get to those interviews. as it is going to be Eric Laurie getting the win tonight here over Brian Wing and Zach Workman. Derek Buffo and Austin Call bringing home the remainder of the top 5. 6th on back, you've got Chris Passini, Bud Steele, Matt Wagner, Josh Lassen, and Gabe Butler. And then Dude Conrad, Jim Brooks rounding out our lead lap finishers. And then 13th on back, a lap more down, including Joshua Hanner, David Hanna, Jimmy Pyland, Rick Sanchez, Brandon Briggs, and Edwin Outlaw in the 18th position. So I'm going to do some quick multitasking here so we can get those points finalized. That way we know who is where for the playoffs. All right, let's go find some victims to chat with. And like I said, when they're all part of the same Discord, what we usually do is we bring them all in together. So we'll grab all of our guys here as we continue to watch Eric. As he apparently had plenty of fuel to do those burnouts, but so I guess we'll kick it off here with you, Zach, finishing in third. Looked like you peeked to the outside a few times, maybe tried to make some moves, but it looked like didn't have anybody wanting to go with you. Obviously, you knew that there was an outside chance of making the top 12 there. I mean, were you trying to steal any point, any spot you could there at the very end, or was it just kind of just see if anybody would go with you? Or I mean, take us through the thoughts there once you guys had that top 5 breakaway at the end.
Not really. I was just seeing if those guys would go up there, but I was trying to make any moves just right behind Brian and Eric. I probably wouldn't have made all the races anyway for the playoffs, so I wouldn't have taken a spot because I would have felt bad. Someone that's been here like all the weeks trying to get in, and I happened to steal a spot, so I'll let one of those guys take it. But no, it's all good fun over here. I like running over here with Brian and Gabe and Eric and Boot Knockers, led me in. So I was just riding around after I messed up on the first pit stop because I was too confident in my tires. Just rode around, and glad Eric got the win.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, that was a big turning point in the race because, like I said, there's probably a lot more happy drivers than upset drivers with that yellow coming out. And something we mentioned was obviously with these cars having the quicker pit stops is you have that risk versus reward of fuel only 2 tires, 4 tires, where maybe you lose a little time getting on the pit road, taking the 4 tires. Maybe it's a little bit easier coming out of the pits on that one. Is that what you felt like, where maybe just taking the 2 or fuel only was just, it affected your ability to kind of keep the speed up through that apron there? Or what do you think was maybe the difference on that one?
Yeah, the first stop, it felt fine, but I think I oversent it the second stop. That's why I kind of spun around. It was ice skates out there really on that apron if you took 2. Especially just the left sides. Even though the left sides wore more, it looked like if you took the right sides on the apron, you'd have a better pit exit. But yeah, that first stop we felt fine, but I think the second stop I was just overconfident, kind of sent it a little bit harder than I needed to be, and just spun it around. Sorry I took out Dude and a couple people there. Just unfortunate, but yeah, it just happens. Kind of, I don't really race these cars here, so it's kind of just a learning curve. But yeah, it was ice skate out there with the left sides versus the 4 tires like Brian took on the second stop, and he had a way better stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that risk versus reward. And Sam, we'll actually switch over to Brian on this one then. So same thing for you, Brian. I'd say I mean, obviously, like I said, you're kind of on the outside looking in on the points going into tonight. So was it the same thing? Just try to see if you could kind of go max points and see if you could make it in there. Because I mean, unfortunately, I say we've had a lot of just kind of part timers that have made maybe 4 or 5 races and not the full 7, 8 races. So was that kind of what your thought process was? Like, hey, if I can get aggressive and get max points, maybe I can sneak my way in? Or was it just, hey, it's Sunday, I want to race and let's do it?
Yeah, it was kind of both. I knew that I could make the playoffs in this race, especially with a good finish, but I raced these cars because I like the way they drive, and they could get really fun at times.
And so, I mean, so obviously, I think you gotta give Zach here a little bit of tips though, because he did a really good flip hitting the pit wall, but he kind of turtled himself immediately. But it's no comparison to you going into orbit with Gabe though after the truck race. So I mean, do you have any pointers for future races for Zach to do the post race shenanigans?
Oh, you just gotta get Gabe driving the wrong way around and hit each other full speed.
Yeah, it was pretty amusing there. And then Eric, we were debating, are you going to go and just go for the win because you had the lead, or are you going to maybe back down and see if you can help one of those guys make it into the top 12 in points? Because like I said, you had obviously the top spot locked up after tonight's race because you were ahead of all the guys behind you, like Gabe and Bud and Jim. So I mean, you did everything right tonight. Or was this one of those ones where it's like, hey, I've had a really good race, I want to get the win tonight?
Well, we come out of the last pit stop there, and Brian's behind me, and we had a run, so Zach said, go ahead around us and go. So that's where I ended up in front, so Brian pushed me the rest of the way. I guess that's just how it falls.
Yeah, you got to hate it when you got teammates to push you to wins, I have a feeling, huh?
Yeah, I hate that when that happens.
Yeah, they hate when those
You
things
gotta blame
happen.
it on Brian and Zach.
Well, I'll say, I mean, like I said, Eric, clearly, obviously, getting the regular season championship by 3 points over Gabe after the drop weeks are included as well. So, I said that's very, very well done to you, sir, on being able to clinch that one. And then I'm going to go through the top 12 in points here. So, Eric, obviously, you have top spot going into next week's race. Over the final 4 races will be yourself, Gabe Butler, Bud Steele, Jim Brooks, Rick Sanchez for the top 5. After that, 6th through 10th will be Brennan Briggs, Kevin Fries, Nick Manfredi, Edwin Outlaw, and Ryan Decker. And then, according to what I have pulled up here, 11th and 12th would be Zach Workman, Brian Wang.
Nice.
So
Nice.
you guys snuck into that top 12. Like I said, there's been some missed races by a number of drivers, and you guys in the races you've made, I mean, I say you guys were up front getting great results. I think you both had 3 top 3s as well. So yeah, so I'll say, Zach, if you're able to make all the races, you might want to reconsider going after it, because I say that you'll be able to go for the title for those final 12 or final 4 races with the top 12. So well done to all 3 of you making the playoffs. So I'm sure there'll be some discussion post race and in between now and then. So, however, before we get to all that, we got to go back to Zach here. First off, going to those thanks and shouts for that podium here tonight, sir.
I gotta thank Boo Knocker. Let me race with them. Great team. I, make my appearances every so often week. Every off week. We'll see in the playoffs. Maybe we'll run the whole thing and try to win it. Be an underdog story. But gotta thank Racing Bros podcast for jumping on board. They're starting up back here a few weeks ago, so check those guys out. RBN podcast, wherever you get podcasts. Gotta thank my parents. They always watch these things, and my girlfriend for letting me do this. So, not spending time with her, spending time with the boys. So it's a great time.
So there you go. You got a sponsor that's back on the air. So I think that means you gotta rep them here in the playoffs. So no pressure there, Zach.
I know. I don't want to make them have a bad chase run. So guess I got to go for it here.
Yeah, say now that you made it, that's the only one way to go. So great job, man. Like I said, getting that top 3 and then making that top 12. And so we'll switch over to you, Mr. Brian. Like I said, it was an outside look to get in there, but as I am, you're doing Larry proud there in that Hash Brothers performance paint scheme. Say a very remnant of a very dominant car when we were running that Cup Series over here as well. Definitely want to give you the floor as well for that runner-up tonight.
Yeah, thanks to you guys for putting up the broadcast. Thanks to everyone at Area 51 and all of the admins. Thanks to everyone we had today racing with us, Dude, Gabe, Eric, and I. And thanks to our emotional support, Sebastian Marin. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I pulled him in for a little bit as well. Pretty much with 2 to go, I saw him in there. I was like, hey, he's not racing here, so I'm going to give him grief. So, yeah, great job, though, tonight, guys. And, yeah, looking forward to seeing what playoff run you guys have in store. And so last but certainly not least, our regular season champion, Eric Laurie. Definitely want to give you the floor here, sir, for any thanks and shouts for that win here tonight to go into that playoff 4 races.
Well, I really appreciate what you guys do. Thanks for Area 51 for putting all this on. And I couldn't have done it without my team, Team Bootnager, and especially with Dude and Gabe. They've been a big help.
I mean, that's like, obviously, and we know Gabe Weekend Week Out says nothing without the teammates, but you guys made all the right moves, nailed the pit stops. I think that was the name of the game tonight, was getting those green flag entries and exits, because that's where really started to split that field up. And actually, I got to do an extra shout out to you, Brian, because you were able to make that gap, because you were still a couple seconds back when you hit pit road, but you're able to then rebound and get right back up to those guys at the pit exit. So well done to that as well. That was a really, really good entry and exit for you to hang on to them. So yeah, great job tonight, guys. Go celebrate with your teammates, and we will see you next week at the playoffs.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gaio.
All right, those are our top 3 finishers here tonight. And like I said, it was an outside chance, but they all had a chance to make the playoffs, and they were able to get in there. So once again, for those that maybe didn't catch it earlier, our top 12 going into the playoffs next week will be Eric Laurie, regular season champion, Gabe Butler, Bud Steele, Jim Brooks, Rick Sanchez, our top 5. Then Brandon Briggs, Kevin Freese, Nick Monfretti, Edwin Outlaw, and Ryan Decker, our top 10. And then 11th and 12th, sneaking in there at the very end, gaining 6 positions each in the standings tonight, are Zach Workman and Brian Wang. Like I said, we'll go through. We'll make sure, obviously, on the admin side, all the drivers are able to want to be part of the playoffs if they're able to. But yeah, so that is our tentative schedule for those. So good luck to all the drivers. Really, really want to thank all of you for joining up here and watching here on Green White Checker TV. So David, Hondo, Chris, Jamie, I really, really appreciate you guys all being a part of this one. Like I said, we will be back again in a few nights' time for the Thursday Superspeedway Truck Series back here at iRacing Superspeedway. It will be Maxwell Caldwell leading the show over there. I may or may not be in the booth, because one of our own as well, Matt Wagner, he is going to be trying to get that championship as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you all enjoyed it tonight. Hope you all had a wonderful Sunday evening. And until Thursday, take care, stay safe, have a good night, and we'll see you all on Thursday.